Own up to everything that happens in your life, plain and simple. One of the biggest signs of growing up is taking full responsibility. Take a moment to think about this because it's a game changer. It's the moment you realize you've moved from being a kid to being an adult. This is when real change starts. I used to have a long excuse list for why things weren't going well. I held on to it, and every time someone asked why things weren't working out, I'd pull it out. I would always pull out that list of excuses. I blamed the government, the taxes, the weather. Too hot, too cold, too rainy. I blamed the traffic, my car, even the manufacturers for making it unreliable. I pointed fingers at everything but myself. I even thought about my upbringing, like if I had just been born into a different situation, things would have been easier. I'd say if my parents had more money, or if I grew up in a better neighborhood, then I'd be successful. I blamed the school system too, thinking if I had better teachers or they had taught me the right stuff, I'd be way further along by now. I even blamed my boss. Oh yeah, totally blamed him for not seeing my potential, for not promoting me, for not paying me what I thought I deserved. It was so easy to point fingers at everything around me. And you know what? The more I blamed, the more I convinced myself I was the victim, like I had no power. I thought I was stuck in my situation because of everyone and everything else. I held on to that mindset. It felt like a badge of honor, like a shield keeping me from facing the truth. I remember one moment, really clearly. I was in my tiny apartment, staring at that list of excuses, and then it just clicked. It was like I could see myself from outside, stuck there because of my own excuses. I realized that the only thing truly holding me back was me. It was like a light bulb went off, and for the first time, I understood that I was the common factor in all those situations, no matter what was going on. The only person who could really change my life was me. I used to blame my health, thinking, I can't exercise or take care of myself because of this issue or that problem. I let my health be an excuse to stay in my comfort zone and avoid pushing myself. I also blamed my finances, saying, how can I save or invest when I'm just getting by? I told myself that my lack of money was the reason I didn't learn about finances or take those small steps that could lead to big changes. I used to think that time was the problem. I'd say things like, I just don't have enough time, or I'm too busy, and I convinced myself that if I just had a few more hours in the day, I could get everything done. But the reality is, we all get the same 24 hours, and it's really up to us how we spend it. Blaming time was just my way of dodging responsibility. Now I see how much energy I wasted on blaming others. I was so focused on stuff I couldn't control instead of what I could actually do. That's the real trap of blame. It keeps you stuck and blinds you to the opportunities right in front of you, the changes you can make, and the actions you can take to improve your situation. Blame is a thief. It robs you of your power, potential, and future. The day I decided to let go of that blame, everything shifted for me. I remember it clearly. I looked around. I had all these reasons I was holding on to, but I finally saw they were just excuses. They were my way of staying comfy, avoiding risks, and sidestepping failure. Once I realized that, I couldn't ignore it anymore. I knew if I wanted things to change, I had to change. I had to stop pointing fingers and start taking action. I needed to take responsibility for my life, my choices, and what happened as a result. And let me tell you, that was tough. It was one of the hardest things I've ever faced. Taking responsibility is about looking in the mirror and owning up to where you are because of the choices you've made. It's about recognizing that you have the power to change things, but that change takes effort, discipline, and stepping out of your comfort zone. But it also means freedom. It's realizing that you're not just at the mercy of everything around you. You have control over your own life. So today, I challenge you. Put down your excuses and stop blaming the government, taxes, the weather, or anyone else. Your car, your upbringing, your boss, your health, your money situation, or your time, none of that is what's stopping you. The only thing holding you back is the belief that you can't change your situation. The minute you take responsibility and decide that you're in charge of your life, that's when everything starts to shift. I promise you, once you take that leap, you'll kick yourself for waiting so long. But I learned something important, and I want you to learn it today because it's invaluable. Goals. It's not what happens that decides how good or how much your life is. It's not just about what happens, but about how you handle it that makes all the difference. I promise you, this one change can totally turn your life around. This realization is like flipping a switch inside you. You go from being just a bystander to really being involved in your life. You start to get that no matter what goes down, you've got choices. You can react in different ways and take steps that change the game. When you start thinking like this, everything changes. Setbacks turn into chances to grow, and challenges become a reason to step up instead of giving up. Life will throw you some curveballs, but instead of letting them knock you down, you go after them with everything you've got. That's the key to becoming resilient and unstoppable. Don't get it twisted, life will definitely test you, pushing your limits and your character. But when you realize it's not just about what happens, things happen, but it's all about how you respond that empowers you. You begin to view challenges as just a part of the journey, not the end of it. Obstacles turn into puzzles to solve instead of roadblocks that stop you in your tracks. And here's the cool part. When you start living like this, you inspire others to do the same. Your friends, family, and colleagues see your courage and strength, and they start to understand that they can take charge of their own lives too. Just picture this. You're standing at a crossroads. You can take the easy route where you just let life happen to you. Keep blaming others and wait for things to get better, hoping that someday your luck will change. Or you can choose the harder path that takes more work and effort, but leads to growth, empowerment, and the life you've always wanted. So, which path will you choose? Are you going to just sit back and hope for the best? Are you ready to take charge and shape your own future? Taking responsibility also means realizing that setbacks are just part of the journey. Nobody achieves anything amazing without running into challenges or making mistakes. The people we look up to, like inventors, leaders, and innovators, they all faced failures. The key difference is that they didn't let it hold them back. They didn't think, I guess I'm not meant for this. Instead, they picked themselves up and learned from their experiences. They made mistakes, but kept pushing forward. That's what taking responsibility means. Acknowledging, okay, that didn't work. What can I learn from this? How can I improve next time? It's about being ready to fall, but never staying down. I get it. It's really hard to keep going when things aren't going your way. Staying positive during setbacks is tough. I remember when I was trying to launch my own small business and poured everything I had into it. I invested a ton of time, money, and energy, and it all fell apart. I lost nearly everything and was crushed. I could have easily pointed fingers at the economy, the competition, or whatever else, but I decided to own up to it. I asked myself what I could learn and how to do better next time. It was tough, but I got back on my feet and gave it another shot. Because of that failure, I figured out what it really takes to succeed. Every time you take responsibility and keep pushing forward, you're building something within yourself. Building resilience means you're getting stronger and developing a character that can handle anything life throws at you. And honestly, that's way more valuable than any quick success. Think about it. When you look back on your life, do you want to say you just sat around waiting and hoping, letting life pass you by? Or do you want to say you took charge, tackled your challenges directly, made mistakes but learned from them, and kept pushing ahead? The choice is yours. Every single day, you get to decide how you're going to react to what's going on around you. You have the power to shape your own life, and it all begins with owning your choices. And here's the thing. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to go it alone. It's totally okay to ask for help or lean on others when you need to. In fact, some of the most responsible people know when to reach out for support. They get that being strong isn't about handling everything by yourself. It's about knowing when to seek advice and encouragement. When you need to learn from someone who's been where you want to go. I remember when I was trying to figure out a big career choice. I reached out to a mentor, and their advice opened my eyes to options I hadn't thought of. Their support gave me the push I needed to move forward. Taking responsibility means using all the resources you have, your friends, mentors, and community, to help you progress. It also means being real with yourself, facing where you are and recognizing your part in it. You've worked hard to get where you are, and it's not about being tough on yourself or overly critical. It's about being honest. Look at your habits, choices, and actions, and be open to changing the ones that aren't helping you. If you're not where you want to be, ask yourself why. What's holding you back? What changes do you need to make? Being honest with yourself can be tough, but it's also really liberating. Once you recognize the truth, you can actually do something about it and take action. You might be considering different options, but what if I take charge and mess up? Here's the thing. Failure isn't the opposite of success. It's actually part of it. It's a stepping stone on your journey to where you want to be. Every time you fail, you learn something. It's a chance to grow. When you take responsibility, you stop fearing failure. You're willing to take risks, put yourself out there, try, fail, and then try again, because you realize that every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Every time you fall, you have the chance to get back up even stronger, smarter, and more determined. And here's another important truth about taking responsibility. It changes your perspective. Instead of just seeing problems, you start to notice possibilities. Rather than focusing on obstacles, you begin to see opportunities. You realize that life isn't just something that happens to you. It's something you create and shape through your actions, decisions, and determination. When you live like this, you become unstoppable. You turn into someone who doesn't just wait for things to improve, you make them better. You're the type of person who doesn't just hope for change. You go out and create it. So, I want you to walk away from here today with a commitment to take full responsibility for your life, not just today or this week, but every single day. Promise yourself that you'll be the kind of person who steps up, takes charge, and builds your own future. Be the captain of your ship. You're the captain of your ship, the one in charge of your life and future. It won't always be a walk in the park. There'll be days when you feel like giving up, pointing fingers, or just taking the easy route. But trust me, if you keep owning your choices and keep moving ahead, you'll build a life you'll be proud of. And remember, it doesn't matter where you begin, or what hurdles you've faced, or mistakes you've made. What really counts is what you do from here on out. You have the power to change your life, shape your future, and become who you're meant to be. It all starts with taking responsibility. So, take that first step, adjust your sails, and go out there to create the life you've always dreamed of. Life happens to all of us. We all face the same wins, disasters, opportunities, changes. But it's not the wind that decides where you end up. It's how you set your sails. And you set those sails by taking full control. You've got to take responsibility for everything in your life, the good, the bad, and even the really ugly stuff. The second you own up to it, you'll see that you have the power to change things. Don't get me wrong, blaming is super easy. You can do it without even getting out of bed. Some people are just lying there, hitting the snooze button for the 10th time while they blame everyone else. But here's the thing, when you blame, you're giving away your power. You're basically saying you're not in control. It's someone else's fault. And if you think that way, you're really limiting yourself. No options, no power, no future. Picture a farmer looking at his fields and saying, "I hope the government sends some rain." If he did that, he'd be in big trouble. Instead, he gets the soil ready, plants the seeds, and pulls the weeds. He can't control the weather, but he can control what he does. He knows that if he puts in the effort, nature usually comes through. That's how life works. You do your part, you plant, you nurture. Sometimes life throws challenges at you, like storms or droughts, but you just have to adapt and keep taking responsibility. Here's the thing, being responsible actually empowers you. It might seem like a heavy load, but it's really the key to feeling free. When you blame others, you're handing over control of your life to them. But when you own up to your part, you take back that control. Suddenly, it's not about what they did, it's about what you can do. Friends, realizing how important empowerment is can really change your life. Now, let me clarify. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you should beat yourself up. Seriously, don't do that. Some folks think that if they're not where they want to be, they're failures and should feel ashamed. That's not it at all. Responsibility isn't about shame. It's about recognizing your potential. It's about acknowledging that even if you're not where you want to be, you have the power to change it. It's about stepping up and saying, if it's going to happen, it's on me. No blame, no shame, just action and empowerment. You know, I remember a time when I was totally broke, like not a dime to my name. I looked around at my life and realized I was just waiting for something outside of me to change. I was waiting for the government to do something, for the economy to turn around, for my luck to shift. Then one day it hit me. I wasn't going to get anywhere until I made a change myself. So I did. I started reading, learning, growing, and working. I didn't wait for the situation to improve, and that's what I want you to do. Take charge, and don't just sit around waiting for things to get better. Don't just sit around waiting for opportunities to come your way. Go out and make your own. Life's always going to have its ups and downs, easy times and tough ones, wins and losses. It's your reaction to everything that shapes what happens next. Think about a ship captain. He doesn't just hope for good weather. He checks the conditions, charts a course, makes changes, and takes charge of where the ship ends up. If the wind shifts, he adjusts the sails. If a storm hits, he knows how to steer through it. He doesn't blame the ocean. He knows it's going to do its thing. His job is to steer the ship, no matter what. That's what life is about, steering your own ship. And let's face it, it's not always easy. Sometimes you have to navigate through some really rough waters. Life can hit you so hard that you don't even want to get up. But when you take responsibility, you understand that you have to get back up because no one else is going to do it for you. Nobody is going to live your life for you. You've got to take charge. Pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and keep pushing ahead. Not because it's easy, but because it's worth it. The life you're aiming for is on the other side of those tough times. And let me tell you, It's totally okay to fail. Seriously, failure is part of the journey, and it might be one of the best teachers you'll ever find. But here's the thing, when you mess up, don't point fingers. Don't say, I failed because someone didn't have my back, or I failed because the timing was off. Instead, own it. Say, I failed because I didn't handle things the right way. Now I'm going to figure out what that was and do it better next time. Failure only sticks around if you don't learn from it. Taking responsibility means I'll learn, I'll grow, I'll adapt, and I'll keep pushing forward. There's this old story about a guy who wanted to be successful, so he went to a wise man and asked how to achieve it. The wise man took him to a river, walked him in until the water was up to his waist, then dunked him underwater and held him there. The guy struggled and gasped for air until finally the wise man let him up. The guy looked at him and said, "When you want success as much as you want to breathe, you'll get it." Why am I sharing this story? Because the man in it took charge of his life and did whatever it took. That's what taking responsibility does. It sparks hunger, drive, and an unstoppable urge to keep pushing ahead. Some people see successful folks and think, oh, they're just lucky. But luck tends to show up right after you've stepped up and owned your situation. Put in the effort. Luck favors those who hustle. It smiles on those who are prepared and take charge, pushing through no matter what. If you want to get lucky, take responsibility and show up every day, putting in the work. Luck will find you. I know some of you might be thinking, you don't get it. I have real problems and things holding me back. I hear you. Some situations are really hard and life can be a struggle. But let me tell you, the best way to turn your situation around is to change yourself. If you're just waiting for everything around you to change, you could be waiting forever. But if you take responsibility, you can change what you do, how you react, and how you grow. Those changes will start to shift your situation. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have all the answers right away. It's about deciding to look for them. It's about taking action even when you're unsure or feel unprepared. A lot of the time, we get stuck thinking, I'll start when I'm ready. You're never going to feel fully ready, and that's the truth. There's always going to be something you're unsure about or don't know. But taking responsibility means you dive in anyway. It's about moving forward, one step at a time, and trusting that you'll figure things out along the way. Once you start owning your choices, you really begin to see what you're capable of. You start to view yourself as someone who can tackle challenges, overcome hurdles, and be resourceful and tough. The more you see yourself that way, the more you start to become that person. Responsibility isn't just about your actions, it's about who you grow into during the journey, and that's what makes it so impactful. So, what's the first step? Stop blaming. Blame holds you back, it keeps you stuck. When you blame others, you're giving them control over your future. Don't let that happen. Take charge of your future by owning your responsibilities. Next, take a good look at your life and ask yourself, what can I change? What can I do? Don't wait for someone to give you the green light. Just take the plunge. Don't underestimate the impact of small changes. We often think we need to make big moves, but the reality is that steady, small actions can lead to huge transformations over time. Take one step, then another, and before you know it, you'll have come further than you ever imagined. Also, commit to growing. Learn, read, pick up new skills, and challenge yourself. Growth isn't just a one-and-done thing. It's a lifelong journey. The more you grow, the better it gets. The better you get at dealing with whatever life throws at you, and don't forget, you don't just grow when everything's smooth sailing. Some of the biggest growth happens during the hard times, when you're facing challenges, being pushed, or stepping out of your comfort zone. That's when you really grow. So embrace those tough moments. Don't shy away from them. Lean into them and let them mold you into a stronger, more resilient person. And one last thing. Taking responsibility isn't just about you. It's about the people in your life too. When you take responsibility, you set an example and become a leader. Others notice when you step up, and it inspires them to do the same. You might not see yourself as a leader, but trust me, if you own your life and choices, people will look up to you. They'll see what you do and the results you get, and that'll motivate them to make changes in their own lives. That's one of the best things you can give to those around you, showing them the way. Taking responsibility has a domino effect. When you own up to your life, you inspire others, friends, family, colleagues to do the same. They'll start to realize that they're in control and can make changes too. That's how you really make a difference, by not only changing your own life, but also encouraging others to change theirs. So, what's your next move? You begin by making a choice to take charge of everything in your life, and I mean everything. Not just the good stuff, but also the bad, the tough, and the frustrating. You decide right now that you're going to be the captain of your own ship. Then you set your sails, start taking action, and make changes. You keep pushing forward no matter how rough the waters get, because you're the one steering your ship and deciding your future. You're the one who's going to make it happen. When you take full responsibility, something amazing clicks. You start noticing opportunities where others just see roadblocks, and you find solutions where others see problems. You come to realize that you have the power to create the life you want, no matter what your situation is, and that realization can change everything. It won't be easy. Nothing worthwhile ever is. But it'll be worth it. Take full responsibility and see what unfolds. Watch the changes in your life. Watch how you start to grow and create the life you've always wanted. It's not going to be easy, but it'll be worth it. At the end of the day, you'll be able to look in the mirror and say, I did that. I took responsibility. I created my life. There's no better feeling than that. Remember, you're capable of more than you think. You have more strength, resilience, and potential than you can imagine. But it all starts with taking responsibility and deciding to take control. Life can be a long and tough journey, but it's also super rewarding. So make the choice today, take charge, and go out there to create the life you deserve. And remember, it's not about what happens to you. It's about how you handle it that really makes a difference.